Welcome to the Cringe Cast, where all we report is cringe. I'm your host, Luke Radel.
And I am Ken Koyas, your local co-host Cringe Cast reporter.
In today's Cringe Cast, we'll be trying something a little different. We'll be cutting the podcast up into some different reports. Our first report comes from our Corona Cringe caster, Elijah Eklund. That's not right. But before we get into that, I want to discuss some breaking news. Kim Jong-un has been assumed dead. What are your thoughts, Ken?
Where is he hiding? And is he playing Uno? We don't know.
Well, I read this blog post about some hiding spot called the Gulag. I don't know what that is.
Pretty cringe, but let's go see how Corona is cringing. Elijah?
225,000 deaths so far. Cringe. And with people lung dumping left and right, there's no telling how much cringe there will be. Americans are blaming Trump, Trump is blaming China, and vets are like, lol, get pranked. According to the CDC, the cringe documentation of the COVID-19, the total cases in the world have reached 3.2 million, with almost one-third of those being in the USA, 1 million. Also, New York is donezo. Gotta say, America, that's double whammy cringe. What are your thoughts on this, Aaron?
First off, let me say, that's pretty crazy and cringe. Like, you're telling me that some dude ate a bat and now people just dying?
I don't know, man. I've eaten a bat. I didn't die.
Actually, it's a proven fact. Someone did actually eat a bat. I'm just saying. It's
Maybe I ate the bat.
How are you going to say that somebody ate a bat? That's not a fact. How can you prove that some random dude in China ate a bat?
Well,
also,
it was from China.
Well, I wasn't in China, I guess.
From China.
I was in America when I ate a bat.
All right, you don't have to
I
keep
ate it raw,
repeating it like
too.
you're Trump, all right? You don't know that someone ate a bat.
It wasn't in a soup. I ate it raw.
And that sums up our Corona news update. Over to me for some cringe updates. Well, since we're all gonna die from this pandemic, there's one more secret I have to share with you. I didn't care for Bruce Almighty.
What are you talking about?
You're insane.
I didn't care for Bruce Almighty.
How
could you not?
I didn't like it.
Luke. Okay, it's good. It's a perfect movie.
Okay, this is what everyone says.
False.
Everyone says that.
Jim
okay?
Carrey, Steve Carell,
Listen.
Morgan Freeman.
Fine actor. I just didn't like the movie.
Why not? You haven't provided any reason.
Just didn't get into it.
Come on, man.
That's not the
Explain
reason.
yourself. That doesn't. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you not like about
insists
it?
upon itself, Ken.
What?
It insists
Googled.
upon itself.
Because it has a valid point. It's insistent.
Okay, it takes forever
What do you
to get
even
into
mean?
it. Okay, it takes forever to get into it. Once you're in, it's like 6.5 hours, and then I can't even finish the
It's
movie.
comedy. How
You've
could
never
you not?
even seen the ending?
How could you even say that you don't like it if you've never seen the ending? You've never
I'm
given it a
with
chance.
Elijah. I'm with
I've
Elijah.
tried
This
on
is not even
3
fun.
separate occasions to get through it, and I get to the scene where Jim is with God in the elevator, and I just
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah, it's been noted in every analysis.
I have no idea what they're talking about. It's like they're speaking a different language up there. Like
They're speaking English.
that's where I lose English.
What
where
are
I
you
lose
talking
English.
about?
They're speaking Italian.
They're actually speaking English, but
Did you watch the Italian dub, Aaron?
I love Dumber and Dumber. That's my answer to that.
Dumber and
statement.
Dumber?
Yo, that's pretty cringe, bro. But on to our next section, a comprehensive cringy analysis of the blockbuster Bruce Almighty, a movie where a man is given the powers of God as he faces his problems in both work and life. That's pretty cringe, bro.
Bruce Almighty is one of many movies that features the main actor, Jim Carrey. Bruce, as he's referred to in the movie, is a newscast reporter whose career has been stalled. After a rival coworker steals his co-anchor position, he cracks. His relationship with his girlfriend is failing, and he feels lost. He cries out to God, played by Morgan Freeman. He actually meets Bruce in human form in an empty white building. God passes his power over to Bruce for 7 days in an attempt to teach Bruce a lesson on self-worth and treating people right. Bruce uses his newfound powers as a way of making others' days worse for his personal gain. After his claim to fame, by being the new anchor, his girlfriend, Grace, breaks up with him because he was caught kissing with the other co-anchor. After a hard night, Bruce is once again approached by God to guilt him into realizing that he hasn't made anyone else's days better. Disappointed in Bruce's actions, God gives Bruce an ultimatum. Fix the mayhem you've created, or I'll throw the earth into the void. After realizing how bad of a person he's been, Bruce finally learns what it means to be kind and forgiving. He humbly goes back to his old news job and proposes to his forgiving girlfriend. Okay. This is the comprehensive review. Most comedic movies have frequent social inequality, racism, sexism, some prejudice, discrimination against a certain group or groups, stereotypes, gender role stereotypes, and power. Similarly to other comedic movies, the opposition they pose is often overlooked. And while the majority of these are bad, some really aren't. In the movie Bruce Almighty, some of these meanings are sometimes hard to see, but some of them are pretty easily seen. For instance, there's a homeless man that shows up from time to time and gives Bruce a message. This is an obvious sign of social inequality because someone like Bruce has his own apartment or a job or a car, while the homeless man has none of these. Bruce is also seen not really paying attention to the homeless man because he's homeless. When Bruce is at an all-time low, he actually tries to protect the homeless man who's being picked on by a street gang made up only of Hispanics. This gets to my next example. Often we see in movies that have a street gang, the race of the gang is mostly either Hispanic or African American. This is blatant racism because of its prejudice of those races. It's prejudice because of the preconceived notions about Hispanics being violent. Hispanics and blacks are often portrayed in movies or TV shows as being violent or in a gang. Racism is defined as a pervasive behavior pattern that causes a person or society to discriminate against persons of other races or of other ethnic social groups that the racist person or group considers inferior. In simple terms, this just means another race doesn't like one race or person because of what that person or race does. The fact that the gang in the movie is made up of Hispanics is more stereotypical racism than person-to-person racism. Gender inequality and gender stereotypes is also seen in the movie. Actually, this example is very unlikely seen in other movies today. This is when Bruce actually cheats on Grace and then regrets it and learns his lesson pretty hard. In many movies, when men cheat on women, they're often told that the woman is not worth it beforehand and that they should just move on. Here we see Bruce actually regret his decision and attempt to reconnect with Grace. However, one could argue that this only happens because it's not a flick and it's about someone learning a lesson, but that's just the devil's advocate. Our last example is about how the movie portrays gender stereotypes. Also known as gender roles in a relationship, these roles can consist of a man making the money or the woman taking care of the kids and cooking. These are just two of many stereotypes that are put upon young couples and pressured onto them until they're old. Stereotypes are often said to be harmful, however, there is something to be said about order. And though bad things can come out of these stereotypes, they aren't bad by themselves if used correctly in a relationship. Although Bruce and Grace don't have any kids, Grace is seen as a kindergarten teacher, making sure that the kids don't get into trouble or just teaching them. This is an obvious sign of gender stereotype because it shows that the woman is actually just taking care of the kids while the man is out doing kind of quote-unquote whatever he wants to do, or so the stereotype says. In all, Bruce Almighty is a great movie to watch if you need some comedic relief. Its edgy comedy mixed with its positive life lessons make it a great movie all around. Despite its slight examples of sexism and racism, the movie serves as a great late-night binger with a positive vibe. The storytelling is very well done, with the great acting and good camera work. Lastly, don't watch this with your parents. Back to the cringe.
I think that sums up the Cringe cast. Pretty cringe, right?
Oh, we've done better. I'll say that.
Okay. I think Kim Jong-un is dead, though, Luke.
Dude, you really need to stop with those horoscopes. They're really messing with you. Like.
Okay. I'll stop with the horoscopes as long as you stop with your cringe.
Cringe? Okay, look, I got a joke for you, Ken, alright? It's even more cringy, okay? I know someone who sounds like an owl.
Who?
Exactly.
Wait. Who do you know who speaks like an owl?
Make sure to catch the Cringe cast every Friday at 8 p.m.
Wait, why are you ending the
Eastern
podcast? Why are you not telling me the ending?
cringecast.org. You can also
what's going
find us
on?
on Spotify, Apple Music,
Who?
and your favorite podcast stations. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and MySpace.
Come on, bro. Tell me. Wait, who uses MySpace anyway?
Bye.
Wait, who